F1 has been dubbed the Billionaire Boys Club, and today we're going to talk about why. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to F1 America. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we're going to talk about why F1 Formula One racing is being dubbed the Billionaire Boys Club by Lewis Hamilton, by others of recent years, because it is so expensive to race in Formula One. Okay. Before we get into all the specifics and all the billionaires who are involved in F1, why don't you guys just go ahead and smash that like button and please subscribe. If you get a lot of value and you find this entertaining, please share it. We're trying to get to only 100 followers by the end of the month. I think that is a really obtainable goal. So if you guys don't mind, please, helping us out. Make sure to hit the notification button so you get all the latest on when we drop our videos. We're trying to bring you a lot more content more frequently, maybe a couple videos a week, if not more. So definitely make sure that you guys are subscribed and you get the notifications so you know when those drop. All right, so all that BS out of the way. Again, thank you guys for joining me here today on F1 America, and let's get into why F1 is considered the Billionaire Boys Club. Okay, so basically F1 is really expensive to get into. We found even through the recent times, as far as the Andretti's trying to get in the next year or two to be racing, which is cool. An American name back in Formula One would be fantastic. It's discovered that it's $200 million just for a team to enter to be a part of Formula One. Okay, this is just crazy. Like, that's huge money, right? And let alone just the cost to enter one race is $190,000. $190,000 just to enter for a chance to win, right? Now, there is a lot of prize money. In fact, F1 is the second highest paid sport in worldwide, with basically payments being upwards of, I want to say, $797.5 million for prize money. Now, I researched even more, and they have about 2.2 billion, but F1 actually takes about 800 million of that and considers it kind of money for marketing and advertisement and television coverage and all of that. So I did see that there's another 400 million that gets thrown in. So roughly around $1 billion for prize money that gets divided up. Now we're going to do a specific video on money in F1 and the prize breakdowns and all of that. So don't worry about that. Today, we're going to get that into another video. But today, we're going to talk about the billionaires behind F1. 10 billionaires that are in Formula One. This was as of 2021 again. And they're worth collectively $146 billion. Okay, so not to mention just the cost of a Formula One car is about $2 million. So just a car is about $2 million. I saw in the research that, and I'll find exact figures for the next video, but just one tire, one of the Pirelli race tires, costs more than an actual car of most people's car. Then that's crazy. I'm going to find the exact figure because I want to know. But I just thought this was mind-blowing. Okay, so the first billionaire that we're going to talk about today is actually Carlos Slim. His net worth is $71 billion. He happens to be the CEO of American Mobil. I'm going to fucking butcher this. Anyway, American Mobil is actually a Mexican company, but he is a big sponsor in Red Bull. He sponsors Sergio Perez, and he, is kind of his backing to get him in. And I believe he was with him through his earlier karting days and so forth, and kind of, just followed him into Red Bull. So he makes up the majority of that money out of the 146 billion as the collective billionaires own, right? So he's the big one. The next one is Dietrich Mateschitz. So I'm going to butcher these names. I hope you guys are all right with that. So his net worth is 27.5 billion. Okay, so I guess considerably lower than Carlos Slim, but nothing to shake a stick out, right? So he's actually the co-founder of Red Bull Energy Drinks, right? Co-founder and the CEO. So he holds 49% stake in Red Bull as a company, and then I believe he owns the AlphaTauri and Red Bull teams, and he owns the Austrian Grand Prix, the racetrack at the Red Bull Ring. So he owns the Red Bull Ring that they host the Austrian Grand Prix at, okay? So obviously between the two of those, Red Bull has a lot of backing. Now there is a cost cap and all of that, but there's still a lot of money to be thrown around. Maybe that's why Red Bull's okay with fines and going over the cost cap. I'm really not sure. So moving on, we have Sir James Ratcliffe. Now he's worth $16.3 billion. If you have seen the Mercedes cars, he is the Ineos, right? So he's the British Petroleum sponsor. He owns 33% stake in Mercedes F1. The other owners are actually Daimler AG, which is Mercedes' parent company, and then the team principal and CEO, Toto Wolff, he actually splits the remaining stake with Daimler. So I don't know exactly what their percentage breakdown is, but that makes up the Mercedes race team. So yeah, not so bad. The next one is John C. Malone. So he's worth $7.7 billion. He is a U.S. telecom billionaire. He oversees the F1 commercial rights through a group called Formula One Group, right? And Malone's Liberty Media, there we go, acquired that in 2017 for about $4.4 billion. He's been nicknamed the Cable Cowboy, right? So basically, he also owns the Atlanta Braves, and he has a 77% stake in the satellite radio network Sirius XM. Okay, so some big money coming in. It's interesting, again, to see some American investors in there behind that, too. It doesn't really say what team he's a part of. Maybe he's just part of F1. It sounds like he just has a lot to deal with as far as the media coverage and that part, the commercial rights, I guess, of Formula One. So he's, I think, just kind of in the back of just Formula One in general. So the next billionaire is Stephen Ross. He is net worth is $7 billion. He's a prominent Republican donor, and he's the majority owner of the Miami Dolphins, which is cool because, now we have the Miami race at the International Autodrome, at the Hard Rock Stadium. So that's really, really cool. Love seeing more F1 races coming to the United States. Really excited for, Las Vegas race in 2023 this year. So excited about that. It looks like he's also kind of just a real estate developer, and he also owns brands like SoulCycle, Equinox Fitness, a couple big names if you're in the fitness industry for sure. So up next is Anthony Ressler. He is worth $5 billion. Private equity tycoon. He owns a piece of the race team McLaren, as we know. Um, he's co-founded and chairs as one of MSP Sports Capitals, and he acquired a 15% stake in McLaren in 2020. So it looks like that stake is actually set to increase by 33%, or increase to 33% by the end of 2022. So maybe we'll have to look and see if that actually happened. But that's cool. McLaren's, as we know, made some shifts around with their CEO management, their race principal. So kind of excited to see how they can perform this next season. Up next, we have Bernie Ecclestone. His net worth is $3.4 billion. Essentially, he was ousted as CEO of the Formula One group by fellow billionaire John C. Malone, as we know, the owner of Liberty Media, when he acquired the Formula One group. Okay, so it looks like Bernie is actually no longer part of the Formula One group, but it sounds like maybe he still has some backing in F1 and maybe the background too. It sounds like he's also just still very influential around F1 and their coverage and always has, something to say. So move on. One that I know if you guys have watched Drive to Survive, you've heard a lot about, right? Lawrence Stroll. His net worth is $3.2 billion. And then, as we know, he is the executive chairman of Aston Martin team. His son, Lance Stroll, races. And, that's part of the thing, right, is a lot of criticism around, does Lance just have a drive because his dad's the billionaire? Likewise, Nicholas Latifi being very criticized too. Like, is he only in Formula One because, he's got a lot of money and backing coming from his father as well? It's, I think it's a reasonable question. I think, I will say, you guys have heard me talk here on the channel that I think Lance Stroll has really picked up the pace in the last couple of years. I think he's really matured a lot as a driver. I think he deserves to be on the grid, whether that's, because his dad is the owner. I don't know. I think he's starting to prove himself a lot more. And honestly, I hope that he can continue to perform and do really well. I hope the team can pick it up this next year in 2023. And I'm excited to see what they can do, right? So it looks like Lawrence Stroll actually owns 16% stake in Aston Martin. So separate from the merger of the F1 team. And then following that, he's actually has $238 million invested in Aston Martin as of 2020. So that's pretty cool too. So he's not just invested in the team, but he's actually a part of Aston Martin as well. So it's kind of cool. A lot more, I think, skin in the game. Then he's has a lot more riding on the performance of the team, and hopefully that increases their benefit, right? Increases their performance, right? So moving on, we have John Paul DeJoria. I'm gonna, you guys know I'm just awful with pronunciation. So, this guy John Paul, he's $2.6 billion. So it looks like he's actually part of the Texas-based Circuit of Americas, right? The COTA, the Austin Grand Prix. Super cool. That's been the longest running, I believe, U.S. Grand Prix that we've had, and I think they had a 10-year contract, and hopefully that gets extended because it seems like they're getting a lot of attendance, and especially now with the Netflix series coming out, the U.S. A lot of spectators are really starting to come, which is really cool. John Paul, we know him from Paul Mitchell Hair Products. If you don't know that, I don't know where you're living. So he's also the founder of Patron Tequila, and a big investor in Patron as well. Let's see, what else does he have? it looks like he's invested in Rocket Drinks and a subsidiary of De Juarez Telecom Company, which is Rocket Group. And man, he's also a sponsor for the Williams race team. Awesome. Didn't realize that, but super cool. Although it looks like the team terminated that deal in 2020 for undisclosed reasons. As we know, Formula One, like even all the contracts, they can just be null and void at any moment. So nobody's really safe, right? A lot of pressure still rides on, even if you have a solid contract. We saw that with Daniel Ricciardo this year, and how, well, sorry, bud, bye. And okay, well, they still had to buy him out, which is great, but still really sad not to see him on the grid, driving next year. Hopefully he'll step it up as a reserve driver for Red Bull and make some awesome things happen. We'll see him back. Our last billionaire is John Elkann. His net worth is $2 billion, and he is actually part of the iconic Ferrari F1 team. His role is CEO of Exor, which is a holding company in Italy, and also part of the top tier Juventus Soccer Club and Christian Dior, just to name a couple. So he's got high investments in Fiat as well, the Italian automaker. So he's got a lot of money wrapped up in quite a few different companies. I think that's great. As we know, Ferrari is actually the the oldest, most iconic race team for Formula One. They're worth the most. We're going to talk about that too in the next video about money in F1. Ferrari is actually worth the most. Really cool to just have all those. So guys, as a wrap up, this is, just 10 of, so these guys, other than a couple, like one contract that's out, these guys are pretty much still in right now. These aren't even dealing with the Russian oligarchs. So that lets you know how many people are in Formula One that are billionaires that are really pushing money through the sport. That's why the cost cap got to put in too. Again, we'll talk about that more in the video to come. But it's really kind of just this playground for billionaires to come in and throw a lot of money around and, try and win some stuff. So it's really exciting. I know you guys love watching Formula One. I love watching Formula One. These are the billionaires of, why it's being called the Billionaire Boys Club. These are the Billionaire Boys. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few more actually popping in as F1, especially we've got a few American billionaires in there right now. Maybe that's a big push as to why it's growing over here. But I would be interested to see more even coming up. So be on the look for it. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in, talking about the Billionaire Boys Club for Formula One. I'm Derek Hutchins with F1 America, and we will see you guys next time. We love you. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.